As this video goes live, so too does the release of Wild Hearts S on the Nintendo Switch 2. I've made a fistful of videos about it already based on the free demo that's been available for a couple of weeks now, including some initial performance tests, some comparisons with the PC, Xbox and PlayStation 5 flavors of the original version of this game before its S subtitled rebirth for the Switch 2. Today though, hello again, I am Blunty. I get to bring you the game in its full release form, which means I get to show you if those early tests still hold up. Shout out to Koei Tecmo who, and let me be clear here, are not sponsoring or supporting this video or myself in any way, except for the fact they hooked me up with a reviewer's game code. So anyway, I've been playing around with the full version of this game for a couple of days now. I haven't made a lot of progress because I wanted to save that for stream, but I have been doing a lot of testing. But one of my favorite things about those earlier videos from the demo version was just how many people thought the PC version was the Switch 2 version and vice versa, when in the opening of one of those videos I was comparing the two, the PC version with maxed out graphic settings at 4K side by side of the Switch 2 version, and there was a bunch of comments about saying, oh, I thought the PC version with the Switch version. Why does the Switch version look better? I mean, to be fair, look at the textures and the lighting on the characters. It does look nicer on the Switch too, doesn't it? Even if the resolution is a bit of a dead giveaway. If you look a little closer at things like the hair, you can see the aliasing and whatnot, but still. The new Switch 2 version of this game does hold up remarkably well, considering one of the things that just obliterated the original version of the game across all platforms at the time was some severe, that's all caps, severe performance problems. Plus that version, unlike the Switch 2 one, had EA as a publisher, so it never had a chance to recover before EA yoinked out life support and screwed a Megaforce and Koei Tecmo over. They were trying to fix stuff, but you know, EA has no chill, or human soul. Oh well. By the way, for those of you who have been posting comments on those other videos, firstly, thank you for helping with the YouTube machine mind crap. Everybody comment! But specifically, for those of you holding out hope that the old versions of the game on PS5 and such would get this S version as some kind of update or patch, I would not hold your breath on that one. I would bet London to a brick that the publishing being tied up with EA would make any such upgrade impractical, or at least just undesirable to even try to work with them again. But if this game does as well as I think it deserves to do on Switch 2, maybe we'll get some sequels that will see the light of day on cross-platform releases, because, fun fact, years before Capcom finally got around to cross-platform multiplayer with Monster Wilds, Wild Hearts was already doing that. And it's just one of a fistful of things that Wild Hearts did that Capcom then later did with Monster Wilds, so we can thank Wild Hearts for a few things, actually. But sadly, of course, Wild Hearts S here only exists on the Switch 2, so of course multi-platform crossplay just isn't a thing that you need to worry about at all. But in my testing so far, and I've done a lot, by the way, rotting as I have been in a depressive slump recently, I've put in well over 100 hunts in the demo, most of those hunts being multiplayer, by the way. It was smooth and easy, and yeah, just zero issues with multiplayer. I had one hunt, just one hunt out of the more than 100 that had some rubber banding going on. Obviously the host of that hunt had a bit of a shitty internet problem or something, but yeah, everything else has been beautiful, smooth, elegant. And while the full copy of the game, and again I've had access to it for like 2 days prior to launch, it actually connects to the same multiplayer servers that the demo version uses. I've been actually joining demo users on hunts with the full version of the game, which has been handy for my testing. Multiplayer hunts in the first new area, though, in the full version, have been more limited, of course, because there's only a handful of reviewers and streamers and YouTubers or whatever with access to that who happen to be online when I'm online and have made it to that point in the game and are opening up for multiplayer. So I've only had a few hunts in those areas so far. But again, it's using the same servers for the linking, and I'm not expecting any change to the performance of that system, of course. But as you've been seeing for yourself as I waffle on here, the performance is the same surprisingly stable low to high 40s frame rate we saw in the demo. Call it a 45 FPS target, because that's where it's hovering most commonly, and extremely rarely dropping below 40 FPS. But yeah, a 45 FPS target is kind of a sweet spot for this game. It feels so much better than 30, but of course you don't have to make as many cutbacks as you would if you were targeting 60. I've said similar things about the Cyberpunk port for the Switch 2. Now, the most demanding map in the game, at least in the original version of the game, that caused the most performance issues, which is a winter seasoned themed one, lots of ice and snow and such, that is much deeper into the game than I've had time to reach so far. But with both of the first two maps being pretty locked in on this performance level, I feel pretty safe in assuming it stands a high chance of being stable there too, and on all of the maps and zones in areas and whatnot. Certainly in the City Hub, another problem area that would make frame rates go all over the place on the PC version, perfectly stable on the Switch 2 version as well. And side by side with the PC version of the original game again, once more maxed out graphics settings, etc, etc, it's clear where corners have been cut for performance and things like VRAM efficiency and such, as you'd expect. The kind of compromises made for the surprisingly powerful but still obviously more limited hardware of the Switch 2. Textures and foliage rolled back, of course, shadows too, and of course the water, one of the most obvious ones, which is it's not good looking video game water, gotta be honest. The splashes look fine, but yeah, the lack of any screen space reflections really don't do it any favors. But frankly, I don't actually care. I truly do not care. Sure, it's nicer when games look nicer, and I like when games look nice, but gameplay is king here, especially in games like this. And in the heat of the core of the game, that would be the fights, I'm not looking for a reflection of a tree in a puddle, and I don't give a single cold poop about a muddy texture on a rock, or some wood paneling in an old shrine that looks a bit blurry. What I care about is reliable, consistent performance and clarity of the action. That being my hunter, the monster, the other hunters, the karakuri gadgets we summon, that kind of thing. And all of that is delivered here really crisply and really smoothly. That is the important part. I mean, look, I do miss how lush the PC version can look maxed out, because some areas are really, really lush, just gorgeous, you know, with all the grass and ground cover and whatnot and flowers everywhere. But aside from looking daggier in screenshots in the Switch 2 version, honestly and truly, I do not care. Some people will care, and I kind of pity those people, really. These people who can't let themselves enjoy a video game if it isn't graphically pristine. Those people are missing out on so many good games just by turning their little graphics snobby noses up at the sight of a muddy tree bark texture or something. I mean, come on. Some of you didn't grow up playing where your character was like 48 pixels in 8 different colors, and it shows. God, you're so spoiled. Kids these days. Jeez. Anyway, I've gone on a bit in the other videos about how really solid the underpinning of this game is, the mechanics, the flow of the combat, the interesting and shockingly deep systems in play in every corner of it, the story and character writing, and the extremely good voice acting, all of that. I'm not going to go over it all over again. I'll just remind you that it's really good. It's a solid-ass game, regardless of what it looks like on the Switch 2. So I'll just trail off here and let however much footage I've got left just play out for you. Thanks for watching. Thanks to the patrons. I am Blunty. I'll catch you next time. And yeah, over the weekend, I will be streaming over on Twitch, Wild Hearts S. So you can come along. We'll have a chat about it. We'll test some things. I'm going to be taking my time, going slow, because that's the best way to play this game. But yeah, come and have some fun.
So I have no idea how it could be made to turn again as I believe it once did. But it is my honest wish to see it too.
Well, we made it in the end.
I was starting to think we'd never see it again. But here we are. This is Minato.